Jeff's Superscript is brought to you by Black Cat Comics and Collectibles, in my opinion, the best comic shop and clubhouse on the internet. Make sure to follow them at Black Cat Burbank on Instagram and ask them about their Stray Cats Club for special perks. Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either August 31st or September 1st, 2021. And I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Now, over the past two videos, I've been doing more of a which book would I recommend you buy if you bought just one book. But we're going to be back to form a little bit with this week's video. But what I realized is that when I kind of went off the rails a little bit with the what one comic book would you buy videos, I forgot to look back on the books that I picked that I actually did buy and that I read from 2 weeks. So I'm going to go back 4 weeks, wow, and talk about a book that was my just one book pick that I picked up and read from 4 weeks ago. And that book is The Me You Love in the Dark. And the question remains, was it a worthy and worthwhile pick to be my just one book pick of the week from 4 weeks ago? The answer is yes. Yes, I enjoyed it. It wasn't an issue that was like mind-blowing, it wasn't just an incredible read, but it was solid. It set up what I think the story is going to be well, in that it gave me the information that I needed about the character. She's an artist. She's moved into this house because she's trying to get some work done, and that there is apparently a ghost in this house. And what the relationship between this woman and the ghost, if it's going to be good or if it's going to be bad, that remains to be seen. But that's what they did really well. What Scotty Young did really well in this first issue has made me interested. I want to know what the future holds for this woman and this ghost. Are they going to be friends in a Casper the Friendly Ghost situation? It seems like that might be the case because the ghost so far has been helpful. Or are things going to get not so great? But I'm interested in checking it out, and I'm going to read more of it. And so I do believe that it was a worthy pick for my just one book pick of the week from 4 weeks ago. And then I have one other one that I need to talk about, but I'm going to talk about in next week's video. All right, let's go ahead and move forward with the books that are coming out this week. First, by talking about my 5 honorable mentions, and then finishing off with the one book that I would buy this week if I could buy just one book. My first honorable mention goes to a new book called Dark Ages, issue number 1 of a 6-part limited series from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. This is what the Watcher has been watching for. A danger older than the Earth threatens everything. For once, the heroes who have saved the planet so many times are almost powerless in the face of it. X-Men and Avengers assemble. Spider-People and Fantastic Four come together. Heroes for hire fight alongside champions. None of it will be enough. The lights are about to go out. The world outside our window is about to end. An all-new saga of the Marvel Universe as you've never seen it before from Tom Taylor and Iban Coelho. Okay, so there are a lot of events in the Marvel Universe, and yes, we have another one. It's very easy for me, and I'm sure for all of you, to get a lot of fatigue with these events. But this one sounds like it could be interesting. It sounds like it could be pretty cool. It's always kind of exciting when multiple heroes from across the Marvel Universe have to work together against a common enemy or conflict, or whatever you might want to refer to it as. So this could be interesting in that capacity. If you're looking for some kind of big event, I'm sure it's going to cross over into some of the titles, but you can probably just pick up this 6-issue limited series and get all the story that you need right there. The next book I want to mention to you is Demon Days, Cursed Web. This is a one-shot from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Spiders and wolves and yokai, oh my. Mariko Yashida journeys deep into a dark forest to find answers about her past. Instead, she finds a magical wolf with 3 toes and a strange girl with a pet spider. But there are deadly creatures in these woods too. A mysterious blue-skinned woman and a giant with super strength and claws. And they're after Mariko. Don't miss this epic tale straight from the creative mind of Stormbreaker Peach Momoko. Book 3 of 5 of the Demon Days saga. Okay, so far, I have liked the 2 Demon Days books I have read from Peach Momoko. I liked the X-Men one. I thought it was entertaining and interesting. It's a completely different Marvel universe that she's created, but I find it and heavily influenced by Japanese culture. But I find it interesting, and I find it enjoying as kind of like an Elseworlds kind of story. Similar with Demon Days Mariko. Now we have Demon Days Cursed Web. So because I've enjoyed the first 2, I wanted to put this one on my list. Once again, is this an earth-shattering story? I don't know about that, but I think it's fun, entertaining, and as a kind of spin on the Marvel Universe that we know so well, I've enjoyed reading what I've read so far. The next book I want to mention to you is Sinister War, issue number 4 of 4. From Marvel Comics, here's the description. Things just got worse for Spider-Man. It didn't seem possible, but it's true. If you think you have seen Spider-Man take a beating, you haven't seen anything this brutal. Okay, so this was kind of a surprise pick, even for myself, as I was doing research for this video. But I actually had to do some additional research, and after I did, I decided that maybe I should add it to this week's list. Now, what I'm about to talk about is my speculation based off of some of the research that I've done. So I think some of it's fact and some of it's speculation. If you don't want anything that even is close to spoilers, you might want to fast forward until you see the next image of a different book pop up. But here's the deal. Moving forward, Peter Parker isn't going to be Spider-Man. Ben Reilly, his clone, is going to be taking over the Spider-Man duties here for a while. And it's very possible that the reason for that is all going to begin right here in this beating that they talk about him taking in this issue. It'll then carry through to Spider-Man issue number 73, and then Spider-Man issue number 74, Amazing Spider-Man issue number 74, that is, which is going to be the last one with the current creative team. And then in issue number 75, that's when Ben Reilly is taking over. So it's very possible that the beating that he takes here in Sinister War is going to have reverberations, if not a direct path, to the reason why Spider-Man, Peter Parker, is going to be taking a little bit of break, and Spider-Man Ben Reilly will be taken over. So if you're interested in getting maybe the full experience or the full story of how and why that transition takes place, you might want to consider starting here with this issue, Sinister War, issue number 4. All right, the next book that I want to talk about is a new book. It's called Almost American, issue number 1 from Aftershock Comics. Here's the description. Spies like us. In 2008, husband and wife Russian intelligence operatives walked into the U.S. Embassy in the Dominican Republic in order to defect, making a deal to trade secrets for new lives. But instead of the American dream, Janusz and Victoria Newman found themselves caught up in red tape, bureaucracy, and turf wars between the FBI and CIA, all while their past tries to kill them. Based on the real-life story of real-life spies, Almost American is written by comics master Ron Mars in close consultation with the Newmans, with art by rising star Marco Castillo. This one sounded interesting to me from a storytelling perspective, but then it got especially interesting to me when I found out that this is a real life story and that the story is being told, with consultation by the people who the story is about. This could be a fun and interesting story, and I find it even more interesting that it's being told in comic book form. So I don't know, it doesn't say it's a limited series, so that implies that it's an ongoing. It also doesn't say that it's a one-shot, so I'm interested to see what the story is here and how much of that story we're going to get. And if it's an interesting enough story, I know it's not exactly the most original story. We've heard stories before and seen stories on television and movies even possibly about like Russian spies trying to defect and, the trials and tribulations of that. But if it's a good enough story, who knows, maybe this story will get some kind of option happening for a TV show or a movie. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that too much right now, but it does sound like an interesting story. It does sound like an interesting story to be told in comic book form. So if you're looking for a true life tale in your comic books this week, you might consider picking this one up. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It's called Telepaths. This is issue number 1 of a 6-issue limited series from Artists, Writers, and Artisans Incorporated. Here's the description. A brand new epic from comic book legends J. Michael Straczynski and Steve Epting. An electromagnetic disturbance results in the sudden awakening of telepathic powers in 1/10 of the Earth's population. In the moments after the world comes to grip with this development, newly telepathic, I think that word is missing here, Boston police find themselves sent against a wrongly convicted prisoner who becomes a hero and a leader of other telepaths trying to escape a world in which their powers will make them targets. Both are heroes of their own story, and the future may depend on whether or not trust can be found between them. So you've got members of the Boston Police Department, you've got this group of telepaths that are trying to be targets. It's kind of vague what type of target, but working on opposite sides, but they also kind of have maybe their common hero goals. This sounds interesting. This sounds like it could be cool. It's an interesting kind of what if scenario of what if 10% of the world's population all of a sudden became telepaths. I mean, I don't think the other 90% would like that very much and would probably not be very happy with that other 10%. So it's interesting what kind of stories would come out of this, what kind of conflicts would come out of this. So I think it could be an interesting read. In addition, Artists, Writers, and Artisans Incorporated from time to time has some really cool stories that come out. I'm thinking primarily of The Resistance off the top of my head, which I read a reprint of the first issue of, and I was like, this is a really cool and interesting concept. I could see why people would want to check this out. So I wanted to point this out because it sounds interesting, it sounds cool. It's from a company that's turning out some decent stuff from time to time. It's also just a 6-issue limited series, so it's not like a huge, massive commitment. As I've said a million times before, you buy issue number 1 if you like it, you buy the other 5 if you don't like it, you stick it in your PC. Who knows, maybe someday it will become the lottery ticket that we all hope for from time to time. But might be worth checking out for all those reasons. All right, so those are all of my honorable mentions. Now we are going to talk about the one book that I would buy if I could buy just one book this week. If I could buy just one book, it would be Batman, Fear State Alpha, issue number 1. It's a one-shot from DC Comics. Here's the description. The event over a year in the making begins Yeah, I think there should be a period in there. Let me start over. The event over a year in the making begins. Fear state settles upon Gotham City, and no one is safe. Overwhelmed by the dual threat of the Scarecrow and Peacekeeper '01, Batman and his allies have been one step behind since the events of Infinite Frontier number 0, and with the arrival of a mysterious anti-Oracle and the return of Poison Ivy, Batman might have more than he can handle. Okay, so there are a few reasons why this is my just one book pick of the week this week. One, it's written by James Tynion IV, and you all know I'm a big fan of James Tynion IV. He is consistently amazing and doing really, really great work. Some of that great work that he's been doing has been in the Batman title, where this Fear State storyline has been developing. I've really enjoyed it. I think Scarecrow is one of the most underappreciated Batman villains out there, and the kind of build-up that's been coming with how the strings that Scarecrow are pulling a bit in Gotham City right now, the way it's been developing has been really interesting, and I'm really kind of like, oh, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Well, what's happening next is now happening here, kicked off in this one shot. In addition, characters like the Magistrate and Peacekeeper '01, which at first I was like, what's going to happen here? It's interesting in the role that they've had to play and the role that they're going to have in the future. The Magistrate was a big deal in all the Future State stuff that came out. I believe that was at the beginning of this year. Was it the beginning of last year? I don't remember, but you know what I'm talking about. So, this is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting event. And I know I mentioned with the first book that I talked about today, it's easy to get this kind of like event fatigue. I get that. But this one, the Joker War was exciting and fun and entertaining. This one, I don't know. I'm even more optimistic for what I think the value of this one is going to be, even more than the Joker one. The Joker War. So I definitely think that this is worth checking out from a read perspective, thanks to James Tynion IV's contribution, what he's been building up in the Batman title, and where he's going to be going, especially considering the fact that he's about to be done with Batman. I think it's issue 117 or so that is going to be his last issue, and that's going to come more quickly than you can imagine. So I think that, if I was going to be leaving Batman, I'd want to go out with a bit of a bang. I'd want to put my best foot forward on that. So it'll be cool, and this will be his last storyline. So it'll be cool to see what that storyline gives us. In addition, I don't know if this book itself will have a lot of spec potential, but it might, for two reasons. One, we're getting the return of Poison Ivy. Now, Poison Ivy's been gone for a minute, and so it'll be interesting to see, what happens when she returns. In addition, the description of this alludes to the arrival of a mysterious anti-Oracle. Okay, so is this a repurposed character who's going to be serving as an anti-Oracle, or is this a brand new character, this anti-Oracle? If it's a brand new character, first appearances, are always highly speccable, so it might be worth picking up for that. I don't know if an anti-Oracle character is going to be a home run of a spec choice, but you never know. So, but I have to admit, more than any kind of spec potential that this book has, for me, it has potential as a good read and as a good kickoff of the Fear State event of sorts that's going to be happening in the Bat universe, as well as the kickoff of the final storyline of James Tynion IV in the Batman title. So for all of those reasons, that is why Batman Fear State Alpha issue number 1. It's more, yeah, it's a one shot. I was gonna say it's more an alpha than an issue number 1, but it's an alpha, it's a number 1, and it's a one shot. That's why this book is my just one book pick for this week. All right, if you like this video and you like my list, likes are appreciated by me. Even if you don't like my list, I still appreciate likes for my time and effort. If there's a book that's coming out this week that I didn't mention that you're excited about, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear if there's anything that you're excited about that I didn't mention. In addition, if you haven't already subscribed, I invite you to subscribe, but I would recommend you hit that notification bell because I have some pretty cool videos that are going to be coming out soon that I don't think you're going to want to miss, so the notification bell will help let you know when they come out. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.